bike's become quite stripped down. Got the engine ready to pull, and I've got just a little floor jack underneath it. I think I can kind of scoot it out and then lift it by hand. It weighs about 150 pounds, but I loaded the second. This is the replacement engine I bought at eBay for around 300 bucks. So I'm gonna try to get that thing swapped out today and then start the rebuild process. It's kind of become discouraging because so many things have been wrong with this bike, but it would be a project if there was if I didn't have to touch just about everything in the bike. This morning I did buy a new front rim for the bike. This one's just fine, but I wanted an 18 instead of a 16, and the 18 came off of an FJ 600 from 1984, which according to the forums everything should bolt right up to this. So that's coming in the mail, and then this one will get swapped out, and I'll put a little bit taller rim up front for a little bit more off-road capability. But let's get this engine swapped today. The oil filter is still in here, so I'm hoping I can just walk it right around that. I don't know, probably gonna end up hurting after this, but just needs to make it out. I don't really care about it otherwise. Well, that was fun. Little floor jack underneath really helped. Definitely had to take the rest of the exhaust off. I was hoping to leave that on, but that was literally only 3 bolts. Forgot one thing, taking it off, or taking the engine out, I left the clutch cable hooked up. So got it all the way out to this point, as you might have saw with the time lapse, and had to scramble, but luckily I had all my tools nearby, and I am by myself, so I'm hoping to get the new engine. I'll have to take the oil filter housing off and then the valve cover off as well, because I needed that extra height and then a little bit of room up front to get around the engine mounts. So out with the old, in with the new. Let's get the other one in there. Get way too excited sometimes. I think I need to button this one up before I can start. It's just so nice getting this thing to the point where we can start rebuilding instead of finding so much wrong. Forgot I had these nice little Harbor Freight little furniture dolly things. I think I'm going to use these to move the engine around. Yay! Now that one's mobile. I'll do the same thing to the other one. Convenient, I just so happen to have 2 of these things. Hey. Oh no! That would not be good. Drop it on the frickin' oil pan, man. Get a good grip, idiot. Man, I love the look of this gold valve cover on here, opposed to the dingy old silver one. This was a 1986 engine. There was one difference so far, aside from the aesthetics. The oil filter housing does not have oil cooler line inlets, or inlet or outlet. So I'll actually remove the OEM oil cooler off of this and just run 100% air cooled. So I've got all this back in. All the motor mounts are torqued back down except for the one that holds the foot peg. So now is going to be the fun of rewiring all of this mess that the previous owner had. And luckily they do make replacement fuse boxes that are about as close as to a OEM as you can get, although the connector is different. This is just kind of a standard connector. So I will end up splicing into the original harness and then just butt connecting this one into the original harness. So I'm going to leave my mouse nest just because that's a nice reminder of the previous owner and not caring about it. So yeah, we're closer to getting this thing running. I'm kind of happy to take this oil cooler off and then clean up these lines a little bit, and I want to put a high dirt bike fender on, especially since I'm going from a 16-inch front rim to an 18-inch front rim, just for the off-road ability. So I'm going to end up putting the, I think it's a Cerbis or Atrabis, however you say it, makes a Supermoto front fender or just a standard front fender, and then I'll make a bracket to fit on that, so it'll look more Scrambler-ish. And then on the wiring side, on the starter solenoid, they put in this chunk of copper that I will probably end up making the correct wire with the right ends on it. This was actually bolted straight to the positive post on the battery, so I'm gonna clean that up. The ignition is gone because the previous owner lost the key, so they wired up this terrible hot wire switch. I mean, so far I found that none of this worked. It actually was just power on all the time, so I'm not happy with that at all. But until I get that ignition switch, I'm just gonna run this to do the start test and whatnot. Hopefully the clutch is good on this engine. This engine had about 20,000 miles on it, and the actual bike had 43,000 miles on it. So with that being said, I've definitely just given this thing a new life.